Again, welcome everyone to today's links event, The Impact of Adult Education. I'll hand it over to our moderator, Marcella Movit.
Great, thanks so much, Long, and thank you everyone for joining us for today's session. We're really excited to speak with you and share about the impact of adult education. For those of you who are not familiar with our Universal Technical Assistance webinar series, today's session is part of that series. We like to call it our Links Universal TA Wednesday webinar series. It is we offer a webinar on a monthly basis, and these webinars focus on topics that we have heard from you as members of the field that are really important to you and support you in moving forward with your work. It's intended to really build your capacity at the state level in important areas. So we want to make sure that you can always come back and rewatch anything that you missed. That's why we are recording today's webinar, and it will be available on our Links YouTube channel. I hope that you will check it out. Before we get started, I wanted to share with you just a really important links resource that we have available to you. On the right-hand side of the screen, you will see a QR code that I hope you'll follow to join a links community group. If you are not already a member of our group, on the left-hand side of the screen, we have a screenshot of all our different community groups that are available. You can continue the discussions that we're starting today about the impact of adult education in those groups. I know that many of the groups have a discussion thread going on as we speak on this very topic, where we'll encourage you to share your own student success stories. So today is just the beginning, I hope, of an ongoing discussion about all the incredible things that we're doing and the impact that we're having. So I'm keeping my part short so that we can introduce and hear from all our fantastic speakers. You'll see we have quite a few today with us. First up, I wanted to introduce Latoya Newsom, who is the Director of Adult Education and Literacy. In this role, she oversees the administration of the AFLA Formula Grant Program to states, assistance to states to improve program quality, accountability and capacity, and national leadership activities to enhance the quality of adult education. We also have mfedele-mcleod, who is a managing technical assistance consultant at AIR and leads the Adult Learning Practice Hub. She's been involved in the field of adult education since 1991, and in her current role is responsible for leading major national and state-based adult education initiatives with focus on collaborative professional learning methods. We also have with us kDeVarennes, who is a program specialist too, working with the Outreach and Technical Assistance Network, or OTAN, for Sacramento County Office of Education in California. Previous to this, she worked as a coordinator in the Language and Literacy Department at San Joaquin County Office of Education since 2013. You'll also hear today from JHaffner, who is the Division Director for Adult Education at the Indiana Department of Workforce Development. He's been an educator for more than 30 years and works with local adult education programs to deliver services to approximately 25,000 Hoosiers a year. Additionally, he was an adult education director for a university and correctional teacher and earned degrees in teaching and a doctorate in adult education. Joining Jerry from the great state of Indiana is ARamer, who is the Professional Development Coordinator for Indiana Department of Workforce Development Adult Education. She's been an educator for over 20 years, transitioning to a local adult education program for 6 years. For the last few years, she's worked with the local adult education programs by facilitating the Professional Development Network. There we go. We also have Doug Weimer, who is the Deputy Director of Adult Education and Literacy Services in the Division of Workforce Development and Adult Learning at the Maryland Department of Labor. Doug has worked in education for over 20 years, including ESL and EFL in the United States and Japan, as well as working as a community college administrator and now as an administrator at the Department of Labor. Nikitna Barnes is the Assistant Director of Adult Education for Grants and Special Programs at the Mississippi Community College Board. She manages the MIBEST program that you'll hear about shortly, IETs, and college and career navigators at the state level for the adult education program. Rain Donahue began her career in education as a Peace Corps volunteer in Kenya in 1987 and went on to be a trainer, then director. She has taught ESL, EFL, and coordinated programs in Costa Rica, Mexico, Boston, and Vermont. She holds a master's degree in teaching from the School for International Training and has been working at Truckee Meadows Community College for 16 years. Joining Rain from Nevada, we have some special guests. We have with us Eduardo Garcia, who has been with the Northern Nevada Literacy Council for about 9 years. He has been involved in various parts of adult education and now works mostly on career pathways. And we also have Steve Robles Ramirez, who is the Student Services Coordinator at Northern Nevada Literacy Council, who says his favorite part of working in adult education is the interactions and inspiring stories students share. Lastly, from the great state of Texas, we will be hearing from Veronica Moore, a program specialist of 8 years with Texas Workforce Commission, Adult Education and Literacy under the direction of State Director Mahalia Baldini. She serves as the Adult Education and Literacy subject matter expert on corrections and provides grant management program technical support for grantees, sub-providers, and other agency stakeholders. We have also Delia Dwatley, Program Director for the Adult Education and Literacy Programs in the Irving ISD, who began her career in education in 2002, managing the Irving.net CTC program. And she's here with us today. So, as I said, some fantastic speakers, but we also have a lot. So with that, I'm going to first turn it over to Latoya, who has some words to share with us about student success stories.
Thank you so much, Marcella. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's technical webinar, our Wednesday webinar series. So excited you could join us today. I have been so interested as starting off as an adult education teacher in instruction in correctional facilities, that we have some remarkable students that come through our doors every single day. We get to hear their stories, we get to see their progress, and then we get to attend a graduation or credential ceremony and get to cry. I don't know about you, but I have to keep tissue when I go to one of those events because the students begin to tell their own stories. And I've always been told that the person that holds the pen holds the power. Adult education has been this secret success for such a long time. And I'm so glad now we're making this transition to now have the voice to tell our own stories instead of waiting on other individuals to tell the story for us. Because they miss the nuances of our programs. They miss the power of our students, the resilience of our students, the integrity of our students. They miss the perseverance of our staff, the dedication and the passion of adult education providers and instructors. It takes a lot to show up every single day, sometimes on your worst day, to say, I'm ready to take the step to engage in adult education services. But now we have an opportunity to share our why. Our participants are our why. They're the reason we show up every single day to make sure that we're enacting policies and regulations to ensure that they have equitable access to high quality programs and services, to make sure they're eligible and ready for post-secondary education or moving right on into the workforce. So make sure that our students have the voice, open up the platforms, open up opportunities for them to tell their stories, because they are the constituents that our representatives serve. And they need to know how our dollars are serving individuals every single day to make a better lives for them and their families. So remember, whoever has the pen has the power. And you can tell that story and tell your story to encourage someone else to come out of what you have been delivered from. So I'm so excited to hear from the panel that we have today to tell the power and the impact of the work that adult education does in individual states. And we'll continue to champion for the adult education program here at the national level. So with that, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed today.
Thank you, LaToya, for always inspiring, and today was no different. So thank you for those words to kick us off. I'm going to turn it over now to mfedele-mcleod.
Thank you so much, Marcella. Thank you. And it's good to see everyone, your name in the chat. It is always such an honor and privilege to be with the Links National Group of Educators. I'm mfedele-mcleod with the American Institutes for Research. And Director Newsom and I did not coordinate our brief remarks. I will say, but I hope to amplify. I think I will be amplifying some of the main points that Director Newsom made. And I would say for my piece as a representative of American Institutes for Research and a senior advisor on the Links project, that I'm going to speak from vision, values, and belief to kick us off on behalf of AIR, and to again amplify, I think, Director Newsom's main points. We know that education and literacy are power. And this session is about power, the power to shape public understanding of who adult learners are and the essential nature of adult education services. And I think what's remarkable in having reviewed the session today and the presenters and the great works is how they have centrally assured that that power resides with the learners themselves to tell their own stories. So I commend all of the work that you're going to be seeing today. I'll say further that in a world saturated in digital media, civic, social, and political narrative and discourse is shaped by those with access and with means. In this session, we as state-level education leaders have a mandate to raise student voice and perspective, and thereby elevating them as champions, ambassadors, representatives, and agents of change, while assuring that they are perceived and understood for their whole person and for the power of their potential, and being advocates for them, sharing that power and potential and person in our communities, among our partner groups, with policymakers and with lawmakers. So again, on behalf of AIR, thanks to each and every one of the presenters and the Links team. And I'm really excited to be on the session today. And Marcella, I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks so much, Marianne. And thanks to you also for your inspiring words. I'm very eager to move us forward so we can hear all these fantastic stories that everyone will be sharing. So to kick us off, I'm going to pass it over to Karen to tell us about the impact of adult education in California.
Thank you so much for inviting us, and thank you. It's such an honor to be with all of you today. I wanted to highlight the California Adult Education Student Succeed program. Our stories have been penned since May of 2006. And we are all criers, Director Newsom, of our students and amplify the voices of our California educators and the people that they encourage and love and to get to their success. Outreach Technical Assistance Network is a federally funded grant which provides collaboration, information, cost-free professional development support for instructional technology and distance learning to all adult ed agencies across California. Next slide, please. Today, the nomination process, and again, it is highlighted. You can find it in the link in the notes, but our nominations are completed online within an advertised time frame. The nominator writes, which is any adult education person from any agency. It doesn't have to be an instructor. It can be support staff. Anyone at an agency can nominate a student. And they have an explanation of their student's journey. A writer includes the components from our rubric, which are the WIOA goals, and the scores that identify student honorees. And these are then posted on our webpage. Their stories highlighted throughout the year. and also 4 are presented at our AXA and CAPE summits for state of California. Congratulatory letters and letters of regret are also emailed out, as well as legislator emails, about 13 sent to state and federal legislators, highlighting their student and adult education program that supported them. Next slide, please. Honorees meeting the minimal requirements receive recognition on our website and are sent a framed certificate by mail, either to the agency or to the student's home. Some agencies save the certificate to give to the student if they're participating in a graduation ceremony. And within the first year of the nomination period, the student might also be featured as one of our Motivational Monday students on social media, and that's a completely optional choice for students. At the bottom of the page, there are images of 2 recipients holding their certificates and a screenshot of an example of a social media post. Next slide, please. Honorees scoring within a specific range are celebrated with their story and picture featured on our webpage. As of today, there are 319 honorees celebrated here since the beginning of this database. In this screenshot, there's a list of students whose last names all begin with the letter A. Each of these honorees can be accessed by clicking on the person's name. And when I clicked on Manuel Anguelo's name, there's this pop out that with his name, agency, which is Garden Grove Adult School, your nominated, picture, and story. That becomes the page that you can see when you go to that page. Looking back at the list of student names, you may have already noticed the video icon next to a few names. This symbol represents the student was either an AXA or CAPE honoree, and a video was produced and included on their story page. Next slide, please. Oh, I'd like to introduce you today. Get out your tissues, everyone, to Francisco Solano from Salinas Adult School. He began his journey in Mexico and graduated from Mexico, where he moved on his own to California when he was 18. On the right are 2 photos of Francisco. In the top one, Francisco is standing outside by a poster, and at the bottom one is a close-up of his face and has ACU Adelante written 3 times on the left-hand side. Introducing Francisco Solano. Take it away, Long.
OTAN, Outreach and Technical Assistance Network.
Long, we're not able to see the video.
All right, let me try this one more time. Can you see the video now?
We can, now we can, yes.
Yeah, all right.
I was born and raised in Mexico, near Mexico City, and I'm the oldest of 4 of my siblings. I'm the only one who graduated from high school in Mexico. So at the age of 20, I moved to the United States, and I ended up here in Salinas. At the Salinas Adult School, I took all the classes.
When I first met him, he was taking English classes, and he would come to our Sunday dinners, and he would kind of practice with my wife and I.
I remember the very first class where I was learning just the numbers and the colors. And then I progressed to the intermediate and the high levels, and I enjoy every single class.
I think that Salinas Adult School was the beginning of an amazing journey for Francisco.
Taking the GED classes that I found my passion for learning, my passion for science. When I was taking the GED classes, the professor who was teaching it, Tim Amaral, was really passionate about science and STEM field subjects.
The placard on the wall in my room is, you don't need an education to be of value. You need an education because you are of value. And I think Francisco really started to recognize his value in a way that may not have been known to him before. He started to find all kinds of parts of himself, and then just took off.
I asked all the questions, and he pushed me towards enrolling into college.
It's what he learned earning his GED and learning the language that he was able to use to succeed at Hartnell College. Because science, as most people know, you're learning a good 50 to 60 new words each day for each chapter.
When I began learning about science, I realized that it's just another language. So I realized, well, if I already learned English, perhaps I could learn science to talk and think about as a scientist.
Francisco spent 5 years at Hartnell College earning 3 degrees, Associate of Science degrees, one in biology, one in mathematics, and another in physics.
If you go to Hartnell and you need support with your work, come on back to class and I'll help you through it. So Francisco came back a lot.
And this was an internship looking at the genetics of a kelp fly. And so he analyzed the genome of a kelp fly and assembled that genome, analyzed it, and wrote a scientific paper up on that project. And he published that paper in a peer-reviewed international scientific journal.
He was going to be published from a study that was being done at UC Santa Cruz. It was because he had actually done real work. He had contributed.
I'm beginning to find that small network that I need, that small support that every student needs.
I think Francisco has been part of the Salinas Adult School, as we consider the Salinas Adult School family, for many years. And as he always tells me, and he tells all the other students too, look at yourself like you are. Look at yourself how you want to be, and you will be, because the Salinas Adult School will help you to accomplish those kinds of dreams.
And he comes back to my class a lot to advocate and mentor other students. To represent for them somebody who's found a way through, over, around, and up.
I see Francisco in 5 years graduating with a PhD degree in molecular biology, hopefully with a better understanding on how to help to treat cancer.
To go from where you are when you walk into a GED class to being able to do research on cancer in a doctoral program, that says an awful lot about human potential. And it's nice for me to see his face as the poster boy for that. That's a very good thing.
It's really bright, it's really open, and I'm really excited for it.
Thank you, everyone, for your attention. I want to pass on the baton to the great state of Indiana.
Well, thank you very much. What a wonderful story, Karen. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for allowing us to tell the impact of adult education in Indiana. Storylines with a targeted message. Next, let's just take a step back for a second. What is the message you want to communicate? And do you have a storyline that matches? Now, think about the audience you wish to reach. And is the message on target? Here's an example. Adult education is sometimes referred to as a second chance program. And for years, I never thought about the words second chance. But more recently, I bristle when I hear these words, second chance. Why? Adult education is so much more than a second chance program. In Indiana, there are options for students, including adult high schools, workforce diploma programs, and of course, adult education. And when it comes to success stories, over the years, I have found that audiences fall into maybe 3 general or 3 broad categories. The first, what is the message? What do they want to hear? The first is, I want to read about the personal impact of adult education on a student's life. A second member of the audience may want to see, I want to see the impact of adult education through data over time. And then maybe there's a third audience out there who would like to see a little bit of both, the personal story and the impact of adult education through data. The feel-good stories, as I said, are everywhere. But others want to know the impact of adult education through data. And often the phrase return on investment, we all know that word, ROI, is mentioned. How did adult education help a student get a job, retain a position, earn a promotion, or advance in a career? How did adult education, a workforce program, impact employees' performance and a company's bottom line? Consider the story you want to tell. Consider the audience and how you utilize data and personal stories to show success. Next. While it's important to hear from the students, I would also challenge you to think beyond students to help tell the story. Who can tell the story of adult education in your community and around your state? In Indiana, we call them champions. Who are my champions and where are my champions? They're everywhere. They're business leaders, chambers of commerce, economic development, elected officials, strategic partners, healthcare, trade and professional organizations, and others. Don't be afraid to allow others to tell your story. I like to use the word go local. Next. You know who your champions are. Engage your champions. Utilize events to tell the story of adult education. Allow planned events to spread the word about the good work that you're doing in adult education, again, in communities and throughout your state. In Indiana, there's a day at the State House where winners of an essay contest are recognized. Learners have the opportunity to read their success stories. This year's topic is, how has adult education helped to forge your future? At the State House, local programs also recognize business partnerships and provide employers an opportunity to speak about adult education's impact in their communities. And guess what? Plus, local program directors and the students themselves have a front row seat to meeting and greeting and telling their personal stories to legislators. Invite champions to visit programs, recognitions, and graduations, but more importantly, give them the opportunity to speak. Utilize webinars and social media, as we all do, to share stories. We have in Indiana a monthly statewide webinar for our directors of adult education and partners, where we begin. The very first slide is a success story, which I read to the audience. Like COABE, your state professional associations are also a good avenue to spread the word. Next. A word of caution, though. Don't get burned. Are your champions truly champions? Know what your champions will say about your program beforehand. It's like a job reference. You don't want a surprise by a reference you provided. Be a data detective. Does your state and local programs have valid and reliable data to tell a positive story? And do the metrics support the message behind the narrative? Explain data clearly and concisely, and think about the impact. Without explanation, no one outside of adult education understands measurable skill gains or even integrated education and training. Has our messaging worked in Indiana? For the very first time in more than a decade, Indiana adult education received a $4 million increase in state funding this year and will receive $8 million next year. And of course, I won't kid you, there's always more to do. But as adult educators, I really believe this through my 30+ years in this wonderful profession, we need to be more boastful of our success because we have a great story to tell. Adult education, be loud and be proud. Amy?
Thank you, Jerry. Next slide, please. Students' success stories, we prefer them to be written from the student perspective. A student success story can include not only a high school equivalency, but any success that a student accomplishes while they are with our adult education program, because all success of our students are worth sharing. We ask that our students include a photo and sign a release of information. We prefer to share the photo of the student either by themselves, with their teacher or their program, or with their family, so that the student becomes a real person to our shareholders and our stakeholders and the supporters of adult education. Some sample questions when we have a student write their success that we can share would include, why did you attend adult education classes? What motivated you? What does it mean to you and your family to attend graduation? Describe your work, life, class schedule. What advice can you share? And how will this help with a career or a job? Next slide, please. One example of a student success story from our Indy Reads program, a program near downtown Indianapolis, which serves a varied population of students. They produce a story each month called In My Own Words. This is an example of the introduction for the In My Own Words by Sia. In My Own Words is an Indy Reads series where students tell their stories using their own authentic voice and words. Sia joined Indy Reads in May of 2022 to attain her high school equivalency diploma. A dedicated student, single mother, and nursing agency employee, Sia just earned her high school equivalency diploma. She plans to attend Certified Medical Assistant, CMA classes in the fall. Hear from Sia in her own words. The story goes on to tell of the struggles that Sia and her lovely daughter in the picture with her experienced as Sia was working to carry forward their life without having a high school diploma, and what she did to attain that high school diploma so that she can go on to further her education and provide a better life for her daughter and for herself. Indiana shares these stories that come from our local adult education programs. They're all written in a different format, but the important words come from the students. And we share those stories with our stakeholders, with our legislators, which help with that funding that Jerry mentioned a few minutes ago, with our program supporters at our local areas, such as community organizations that help bolster the adult education programs by providing volunteers, by providing additional resources, by providing any number of supports based on those real stories of those real students that exist within their communities. Next slide, please. Sharing student success stories. Because we are asking for personal information from our students, we ask that they sign a release of information explaining that we will be sharing their information publicly. This release of information gives us permission to share the student's name, image, or likeness so that the student knows where their photo, where their story is being told. Oftentimes, a local adult education program will share their success on a social media site particularly when a student gets their high school equivalency exam completion and passed, their graduations, if a student completes an IET, also WEI successes, ELL successes. The successes are real for our students, and so we like to share those on social media. Students can also be shared in marketing flyers and brochures to make those programs come to life for potential supporters or potential students. Someone might see a recognizable face on a flyer and think, if that person can complete their high school equivalency diploma, so can I, because it's a real person and a face they recognize. We also share our student success stories during statewide meetings, as Jerry mentioned. We begin each of our meetings with a success story, bringing to life a local student who has made the success through one of our programs. And we also share the adult education information and success stories with our stakeholders, our shareholders, adult education supporters, and particularly our legislators that provide the funding for our local adult education programs, making those stories real to the supporters of adult education brings to life adult education. Next slide, please. And now I will turn over the slides to the team from Maryland. Thank you.
Jerry and Amy, thank you so much for sharing and giving us these great tips on how to craft messages and tell our stories. I'm Doug Weimer from Maryland, and today I'd like to talk about student success stories in our state, in particular, how we collect those stories, how we use them in publications and social media, and also give you 3 examples of the impact of adult education in Maryland. So next slide. And you can actually go one more slide, please. So all adult education programs are full of student success stories. In Maryland, our challenge was collecting those stories. So this past year, we set out to make sure that we are creating a culture of not only listening to student success stories, but also documenting them and making the most of them to promote adult education in our state. So in Maryland, one thing we do is that we ensure that there's a representative from our office at every graduation celebration throughout the state throughout the year. This is one way that we personally can take pictures and collect student success stories in the moment. We also make sure that we take our appropriate waiver forms, as Amy just mentioned for Indiana, waiver forms with us as well, so that the students know that we might be using their stories to spread the good news about adult literacy and that we obtain their consent before we do so. In addition, we have quarterly community of practice meetings for our various leadership roles at our grantee programs. We have a community of practice for our program administrators, for our instructional specialists, for our intake and assessment specialists, our management information system specialists, our transition specialists, and our national external diploma program staff. At each of these gatherings, we ask about any student success stories, so we make sure that we're collecting this information when it might be fresh in everyone's minds, instead of waiting months to pass and ask about this after the fact. Finally, we've also set up an online form to collect these stories as well. So pictured here on the slide is a screenshot from that form. The form is designed to be a quick way to capture any local good news story, whether it's about an adult learner, staff member, an instructor, or any other story that the local programs would like to share with the state. Having this online form ready at any time has really helped us to capture these stories for future use. Anytime someone from our programs tells us about something good that's going on in their program, we immediately ask them if they would take 5 minutes and fill this form out for us. It's been a great way for us to document those stories in the moment. Next slide, please. Now that Maryland has seen successes in obtaining the student stories regularly, what are we doing with them? So one way we're making use of them is through our publications. So starting this summer, our office created a Between the Lines newsletter, which is a quarterly publication on adult education in Maryland. It includes staff and instructor highlights, teacher tips, reminders from the state office, and most importantly, student highlights and student success stories. Pictured here are a few sample pages from our November issue. It has been well received from the field and is a great way to recognize the efforts of adult learners and staff throughout the state of Maryland. Another way we utilize student success stories is through our social media. So the Office of Adult Education and Literacy Services is within the Division of Workforce Development and Adult Learning in the Maryland Department of Labor. My team and I noticed that our agency's social media accounts were routinely posting content on job fairs, employment opportunities, and workforce trainings, but we never noticed any news on adult literacy. So we met with our communications team and we learned the requirements for submitting social media posts and got to work right away curating content for the social media accounts, including Facebook and LinkedIn. So we average about 1 post per month at minimum, and we have more frequent posts during certain times of the year. Shown here on the slide are 2 posts that our team created for Adult Education and Family Literacy Week this past September. The left image was posted on Facebook, advertising the AFL Week activities that coincided with our week-long Instructor Virtual Training Institute. The post on the right is from LinkedIn, and it's our Governor's Proclamation for Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. Next slide. So now that I briefly went over a little bit about how we're using social media and collecting it, I want to take some time and share 3 student success stories from Maryland. So the first one, this is Huma Amiri, a student at Anne Arundel Community College. This is what she had to say about adult education in her own words. I came to the US 4 years ago with no work experience and with little English language skills. Initially, I took a couple of English basic skills courses with Anne Arundel Community College, which paved the way and motivated me to participate in the Central Sterile Processing Program. I always wanted to work in the medical field. The classes I took through the ELL program helped me to prepare for the work that I'll be embarking on in the near future at a local hospital. The program coordinators and my teachers have been instrumental throughout the program, particularly my teacher, Ms. Latoya James, Hannah Holloman, and Jessica Toivonen and Anderson, the program coordinators. Pictured here on the left is Huma at her school at Anne Arundel Community College, and on the right, she's in her scrubs in her training program. Huma is a student success story of how our learners can progress from having very limited English language skills to progressing into an in-demand career through the help of their adult education program. This is Alex Tingler. She struggled for years to complete her high school diploma due to severe test anxiety, especially when it came to math and science. She researched adult education programs, and she found a local program in her area that was offering the National External Diploma Program, or NEDP. This competency approach allowed her to work towards a diploma over time, applying her life skills and her own research to meet the competencies required. After 18 months, she successfully completed all parts of NEDP and now has her Maryland high school diploma. About the NEDP program, Alex states, I love how it works through things you're already applying to life. It helps you not only in the subjects, but it also makes you dig deeper in real life, like studying interest rates in math. And our final student success story is one we're very proud of. This is a picture of Rosa Pino Cruz at her desk. Rosa emigrated to Maryland with degrees in computer science, education, and business administration. However, when she came to the US, she needed adult literacy classes in order to learn English for herself and for her career. She attended adult ESL classes at Chesapeake College, a community college on the eastern shore of Maryland. As a skilled immigrant, Rosa possessed a vast skill set that she was eager to apply to her new country, but she lacked the language skills to do so. The adult education program at Chesapeake College gave her the skills that she needed. Now, Rosa gives back to the adult education program as she is now the Management Information Systems Specialist at Chesapeake College, providing data analytics and business intelligence to the rest of her team to ensure that the adult education program provides for the needs of its learners across the 5-county region that it serves. She's also recently been recognized with a Special Service Award from the Maryland Association for Adult Community and Continuing Education, citing her work as an adult education success story and a transformational leader in her program. So thank you very much for allowing me to share just a little bit about student success stories in Maryland and how we've utilized them across our state. So it's now my pleasure to pass this over to the team from Mississippi.
Thank you, Doug. My name is Nikitna Barnes. I'm the Assistant Director of Adult Ed for Grants and Special Programs in Mississippi. And so I am just going to share a sample of the impact of work that we're doing here in Mississippi as it relates to the services that we provide to our students so that they are successful. Next slide, please. Understanding the Mississippi's skill gap. Our adult population here in Mississippi is right at 3 million, or close to 3 million. There are over 300,000 individuals in our state that are 18 years or older without a high school diploma. Our state, a significant amount of available jobs in our state require more than a high school diploma, but less than a 4-year degree. And I know that we're not the only state with the skills gap or with this challenge, but our goal is to get individuals educated and trained so that they are skilled to fit the jobs that are available here. 32.5% is our poverty rate of 25 years or older adults with an HSC, compared to those with an HSC at 20% and college graduates at 5.4%. Our workforce participation rate is 54.6%. Next slide, please. We provide employment-focused education in our adult ed program here in Mississippi. Over 2,700 employers support the National Career Readiness Certificate, in which we use as an entry assessment for some of our programs, and it's offered as a credential. 1 in 3 American workers have limited or lack of digital skills, which is a component that we use in our program. 100% employers look for interpersonal skills, integrity, timeliness, communication, and teamwork when hiring, and we offer this through our Smart Start Employability Skills course through our program. And nearly 70% of Mississippi jobs require a middle skill. So we are working very hard to prepare our students and train them for the middle skills gap and making sure that they have the workforce training skills that they need. Next slide, please. On this slide is our MIBEST program, which is our IET program. MIBEST is Mississippi Integrated Basic Education and Skills Training. MIBEST is our IET program, which is a workforce development initiative that was designed in 2015 here in our state. This program provides the 3 IET components, which is AE, which is adult ed, the workforce preparation component, and the workforce training component that is concurrently done together to accelerate the time to completion for our students here. The screenshot image that is shown is simply just has the demographics of the MIBEST program and the percentages of the credentials earned through this particular program. Next slide, please. Mississippi Career Pathways for all levels. We pride ourselves on meeting the needs of all of our students. As such, we designed we designed models to accommodate our students of all levels. So the first model is the foundation model, which is for our lower level students. The next one is a bridge model, which is for our students who are in between. And the next model is our MIBEST model, which consists of our career and technical education programs or pathways and our workforce training pathways. And so on the image that is on the screen, you see the arrow at the bottom with the foundation, and then in the middle with the bridge, and at the top is the MIBEST. So ultimately, we want students to be at the MIBEST level, but not all students come in at that higher level. So we just wanted to make sure that we were offering something for our lower level students as well. Career pathway transition. So automotive technology. This is an example of a pathway program that we chose to display as automotive. So at the foundation level, which is our lower level, an individual come in at this level and they're still getting the basic skills they need with the HSC prep. the Smart Start Employability Skills course, ACT Work Keys curriculum, and they're getting North Star Digital Literacy. At the bridge level, they're getting HSE Prep, Smart Start, ACT Work Keys curriculum, Forklift, OSHA 10, Online Workforce College, which is one of our workforce training online components. And then at the MIBEST level, they're in the actual curriculum, the actual pathway through the college, through CTE, where they're taking the actual courses. They're still working on their HSC. They're getting certifications through this particular pathway. And they're also either getting on-the-job training, apprenticeship, work-based learning, or internship, which all three levels can end with employment. So the end goal is employment. Next slide, please. So here's a student profile without a photo or a name. Normally we do these for all of our students to show where they started and where they ended. And so this is an example of one of our students from Coahoma Community College, her before, which displays that she's 28 years old, single, 3 children under the age of 18, no high school credential, employed at an auto supply store, making minimum wage. And she entered the MIBEST, she entered the adult ed program to get a better job to help support her family. And so when she finished the program, these are the services and things that she accomplished through the program. We have full-time navigators at all of our locations. So she received navigator services, meaning we had a support person to help her with intake, orientation, tutoring, any barriers that she had, that person was there to help mitigate those barriers, whatever she needed to help her be successful. Those navigator services assisted with that. Work readiness training, which is our employability skills piece. She received a paid internship. She obtained her HSE, scored a silver on the NCRC. She gained several industry-based credentials, along with a welding achievement award. And she finished the actual pathway program with a welding career certificate and went on to get a job as a tech, earning over $20 an hour. We have several student success stories that we publish and that we share in the form of social media, newsletter, website. During AFLA week, we also have a MIBEST week where a lot of our students are displayed and able to tell their success stories. So we do this in several ways. Next slide, please. Since the start of the Mississippi WIOA State Plan in 2015, we've accomplished the outcomes below. So 17,520 individuals that have come through our program have earned a high school equivalency diploma. 6,044 have entered post-secondary institutions. 13,970 earned the Smart Start credential. 19,915 earned the CRC certificate. Next slide. This data is reported, is tracked through our state office for statewide reporting with our employment data. It is matched with NSPARC at Mississippi State University, which is our state's employment data system. So you will see FY21, and that's because employment data lags. So 42.66% of our students receive a post-secondary training certificate or credential. 59.94% of our students that exited the program were employed second quarter after exit. And 57.85% of students that exited the program were employed the fourth quarter after exit. So this is just a snapshot of some of the services that we provide to the services and data that we provide to our students to help them become successful through our program, so that we can provide those student success stories to the public, so that they can see the impact that we're making here in our great state of Mississippi. I am now going to turn it over to the Nevada team.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. My name is Steve Robles Ramirez, and I am the Student Services Coordinator at the Northern Nevada Literacy Council. Thank you to everyone who's here today, and I appreciate those who have shared these student success stories. Today, I have an inspiring story to share with you all about a student who was able to come into our program and achieve their dreams. So this student's name is Sonia. Sonia was a student that started off in the high intermediate level of NNLC's ESL program. She attended for some time until she made her way up to the advanced levels. With recommendation from her instructor, Sonia transitioned into the adult basic education program to work on getting her high school equivalency. Sonia struggled a bit being a non-native English speaker, but with support from her instructors, she was able to complete her program, and eventually she took the HiSET exam to earn her equivalency. After graduating, Sonia was interested in the Administrative Assistant Training Program offered here at NNLC. This program was started with TMCC EPIC. The skills that Sonia learned ranged from professional communication to skills in Microsoft Office. After the 9 weeks of trainings and classes, Sonia was able to earn her Administrative Assistant certificate. She is now in the process of applying for her residency, with future goals of eventually applying for her U.S. Citizenship. She's a great example of students who come into our school, into our basic level classes, and leave ready and prepared for a career. Sonia's success isn't the only story we wanted to share here at NNLC, but I will let Eduardo tell you about another student of ours.
Thanks, Steve. Yes, I'm Eduardo Garcia. I am the Career Pathways Coordinator at the Northern Nevada Literacy Council. And I wanted to also share a story of a student that I've worked with for a couple of years now. Her name is Olivia. Olivia came to NNLC. She is a single mother of 2 teenage boys, and she needed to get her high school equivalency. She really wanted to go to college and get a degree so that she can start building her business. She also worked full-time as a housekeeper on her own. And so in our program, she built the skills to get her high school equivalency. And afterwards, we worked on transitioning into post-secondary. So with that, we worked on her course load. We signed her up for all of her classes. And then we also got her connected with tutoring services at the local community college that we have here. And she was able to get her certificate of achievement in business. She is actually now transitioning into the associate's program for business, and has also in the same process taken citizenship classes with us and is now a US citizen. So Olivia is also another great example of a student who comes into our program. We work with them to help them achieve their goals, and they become more successful and are prepared to continue their workforce goals. So I'd like to pass this along to Rain Donahue from TMCC.
Jambo mabibi na mibwana habari zenu, ninaitwa Rain Donahue and ninafanya kazi katika Truckee Meadows Community College. Just spoke a little Swahili to remind all of us about how difficult it is to learn another language. However, language is only one piece of the puzzle of what all of us in this forum provide. We do so much more than the present perfect tense and when to use since and for. We nurture voice, and that leads to choice. And this success story that I would like to share very much relates to that voice and choice piece. We believe in people's potential, even when they might not believe in themselves. We instill self-confidence, and also we provide a community beyond the classroom. Next slide, please. So this is our success story. Her name is Claudia Gonzalez, and she's from Mexico City. She came to Reno in July of 2021 to begin a new chapter with her husband. And she started her process of applying for residency and was faced with a very uncertain processing timeline. During this period of her life, as is normal, she felt a dip in motivation and had a little bit of depression and mood changes. And this was when she decided to join our program. And that was a great decision on her part. She worked in our program diligently hard, improved her vocabulary, grammar, and also gained a lot of confidence for the next steps in her life. Next slide, please. She was blessed with one of our outstanding instructors who helped her with resume and once again, instilling that belief and confidence. And she made new friends in our classrooms. And that went a long way to improving the quality of her life. We then hired her as a proctor, and she says that she gained valuable skills that provided her with the experience and confidence for the next professional steps. And that learning how to support your first steps in the labor system in the US, because when you start, you are afraid, and the expectations you have change completely when you are in a new environment. So she was given the opportunity to work for our program once she gained her immigration status to work. Next slide, please. I took a personal interest in this student just because she had such incredible social prowess and positive ability and attitude. And it's just one of those people that you find in life that you're like, I want to just be with this person. So I invited her to table a number of events with me as my ploy was, oh, she's practicing her English skills. But really it was because I just wanted to be with her in all full disclosure. So there we are at some events. And she says, in her own words, in addition to my work as a proctor, I was engaging in events, participating in tabling an International Student Week event, attending diversity events through TMCC, and these experiences provided me with a greater understanding of the community and the working in the USA system. Next slide, please. So we've lost her, which is a great and beautiful thing. She is spreading her wings and she will soar. After working for 6 months as a proctor, she was given the opportunity to work for the University of Nevada, Reno. She started last week. She is now an administrative assistant 3 in the Department of New Student Initiatives. She's excited to start this new career in this office because she is passionate about using her skill of connecting with a diverse group to help others achieve their goals. So I love that notion of passing the baton and lifting up others. Her goals in this new position are to create awareness and opportunities so that if you have a goal, you can achieve it. She wants to continue working with students at all levels and from all backgrounds to realize their dreams and can connect them with the support they need. She goes on to say that nothing would make me happier than to continue this path and support the connections that TMCC helped me make, because these opportunities always open paths for what we thought were close to us or just distant dreams. And then she writes in conclusion, clearly she has learned how to write well. She's using those transition words. Without TMCC, I would not have been able to achieve this goal and many others. The teachers, fellow students, administrators, and staff always believed in me, even when I didn't myself, and always provided me with opportunities to connect with my new community. For these reasons, I am eternally grateful. And so that's what I got for you today, everybody. Thank you so much for your time and attention. It's an honor to be here, and I'm sorry, I know I'm passing it off to another great state. I can't remember which one. It's Texas. Yay!
No worries, Rain. Actually, before you before Texas starts, I just wanted to provide a little bit of description of what was in the photos that we saw a moment ago. So the first one that we saw, and let me see if we can pull that one back up. Thanks, Long. The first photo here is of the student. This is Claudia. On the next slide, we have 2 photos. They both show Claudia with a small group of students and her mentor that Rain mentioned, Nora Frisch, all looking and smiling at the camera. The next set of photos are Rain and Claudia. You might recognize Rain, sitting at a table at an event for International Students Week. And then on the last page is really the inspiring pictures that show Claudia as she starts her next adventure as an administrative assistant. They show her with her team at a team building training. That's the photo on the left, on the right rather. And then the one on the left shows her with a large group of people posing with Senator Catherine Cortez Masto from an event at which the senator met with Latinx students and faculty. So some fantastic photos. Just wanted to make sure we all had the context of what we were seeing as Rain was speaking.
Marcella.
No problem. And with that, we will pass it to Texas.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Navala. Thanks for all your great work out in that state. I'm Veronica Moore. I'm a program specialist with the Texas Workforce Commission Adult Education and Literacy. Today, I would like to highlight, and Texas would like to highlight, our Scholars of the Year Award in our program, and just discuss ways that we recognize as a state and celebrate our student successes. Joining me today, I will have Ms. Delia Dwatley from the Dallas Consortium, Irving ISD, and their director. So Ms. Delia Dwatley, she will also join us in a few minutes just to give us some additional information on how they celebrate student successes as well. Next slide, please. So as we value student successes, in Texas, we do have our annual Scholar of the Year Award, and we have a nomination process. So I wanted to briefly talk about that nomination process. This is an annual award that we have through our state. So our individuals, grantees can nominate participants. It's presented to 6 scholars. So as you can imagine, we do get a lot of nomination, as there's a nomination process. There's a rubric and reading that goes with that as far as choosing. It's a lot of times it's difficult to choose one, but there's some great success stories, some great things. In the nomination process, you have to be a grant recipient for that program year. So the student has to be active in the program for this program year. We've done this going on the 3rd year currently, and we plan on continuing moving forward. Again, as we celebrate our Scholars of the Year, we look at students who exemplify leadership both in the classroom and outside of the classroom. We look at their persistence and their ability to show that leadership and exuberate that leadership in a span of things, not only in the classroom, but interpersonal and working with their peers as well. Next slide, please. And here I would like to just share a video of our current, most recent 2023 Scholars of the Year from the Texas Workforce Commission, Adult Education and Literacy. Go ahead and play the video.
Ryan Osborne is a shining example of resilience and determination. Despite facing profound life challenges like addiction, homelessness, and incarceration, he has completely transformed his life, emerging as a model citizen.
Once I finally got out of that, then I started working at Goodwill, and all the programs they offer.
Ryan's achievements reached a pinnacle when he was inducted into the National Adult Education Honor Society, a living testament to the possibilities achievable through commitment and perseverance. Rosa Canales' radiance shines through her determination, progress, and dedication to her family and community.
I am from Mexico. When I arrived to this country, the first thing that I knew was that if I wanted to make progress, I had to learn English.
She handles multiple responsibilities with organization and patience, always eager to learn and improve. She is a scholar admired by other adults and a source of inspiration for all. Despite a high-level education, Ruben worked as a handyman due to unrecognized foreign diplomas until he found a program to validate his degree. Initially struggling with English skills, he improved through group activities and educational platforms.
Eventually, a friend of mine told me about YCLC. I enrolled the program and I was sent to be evaluated several times in my English skills. We learned of being persistent, hear on the story of overcoming, encourage us to keep going in our personal goals.
Ruben Frausto's journey is a beacon of hope, proving that with perseverance, obstacles can be overcome. His story inspires us all to pursue our dreams. Zahra al-Rakabi Rashid's journey is an inspiring tale of resilience and determination. She was uprooted to Iraq at the age of 10, facing an entirely different world. At 18, she returned to the United States, eager to complete high school. But unable to do so due to her age and missed years, she pursued a GED.
Irving's adult education program changed me in many ways. It made me a more confident individual with more knowledge on her education career. It also made me gain long-lasting friendships.
Maricruz Lopez's incredible journey is a testament to her determination and commitment to education. She enrolled in a GED program at the Wilkinson Center. Her journey is a powerful source of inspiration for all.
My advice is, do not stop. You can continue. And there are different opportunities for help.
Melanie Manjude is a shining example of resilience and dedication. As a natural-born leader, Melanie dedicates her time to volunteering, translating, and guiding fellow students. Recently, she was inducted into the National Adult Education Honor Society.
When I was young, I studied music. I learned to play piano, violin, and oboe. So the music taught me the determination and the discipline are the key to all success.
And thank you for the video. I just wanted to highlight just our expectations of our grant recipients to always recognize their students and their student success. And I think we're going back to the PowerPoint. Oh. Thank you. Next slide. As we showed on the video, on the picture, you will find Zaria Rashid, who is an Irving ISD Scholar of the Year. At this time, I would like to introduce Irving ISD's Ms. Delia Dwatley, the director from the Dallas Consortium. Ms. Delia?
Hello out there. I'm always excited when I get the opportunity to share stories about the students here in Texas, like the scholar Zahra. Our students love to stay in touch with us, and Zahra, after scoring very high scores on the GED, did enroll in college to get that computer science degree. And also, she's working part-time at a car dealership. Next slide. Zahra is just one of our many success stories. Another one of our students seen here is Mr. Sanchez at age 71, who also passed the GED test and now has his high school equivalency, proving that it's never too late to learn. He is owner of this restaurant in Irving and wants to next enroll in college. Last year's Scholar Award student FOMO was enrolled in our internationally trained professionals class, already having a degree in mass communications. Our program, which is one of the Dallas County Consortium members, is housed in Irving, Texas, which is the #1, maybe #2, most diverse zip codes in the United States. FOMO came to us from Cameroon to learn more English to help him pass an exam needed for a job he was applying for. He passed the exam and is now working for Texas Corrections and has enrolled in college to get his IT degree. He and his wife, seen here, just gave birth to their first baby girl. We also pride ourselves on girl power in Texas. Our students are empowered to follow their dreams, whatever they may be. Here we have a student from our forklift class, a non-traditional track for females. As she sits on this forklift, she knows that she can do anything, including get her operator's license, and she's doing it without even batting an eyelash. In addition, we have students like Jennifer, who attended our medical assistant class for healthcare offices. Jennifer, shown here with her son, had been unemployed for over a year and heard about our free trainings. As part of our programs in Texas, we inform students of job opportunities, help them write resumes, and prepare them for the interview. Jennifer heard in class about a job that she wanted to apply for and submitted her resume. She was called and interviewed that same week and is now working at the Center for Neural Skills. Next, there's the auto body and collision training. Because we are a school district, we can partner with our CTE trainers in the evenings. These students are receiving the Polyvance certification that allows them the ability to earn $60,000, even up to $80,000 a year. Lastly, our newest training is the teacher's aid training. Because the demand for teachers has skyrocketed, this training allows students a pathway to serve as educators. We are near the end of our first cohort, and already 4 of these students in the picture have been offered jobs. I can go on, but I only had 3 minutes. You can visit us on Twitter at AEL Irving ISD to hear more of these stories and to get information about classes from citizenship preparation all the way to workforce trainings. Marcella?
Oh, thank you so much, Delia, for sharing those last stories. And to all of our presenters today, I feel so inspired. We only have about 10 minutes left in today's webinar, so I'm going to ask our presenters to be pretty quick, but we have some questions that we wanted to ask of our panelists. The first question, this one is for California and Indiana, in about 30 seconds or less. If you could share with us, how do you collect and share your student stories? I know you touched on that before, but maybe you can just speak to this for a moment.
I'll just say that we collect our stories within a time frame. There's a nomination window. Through that, then they're scored through a scoring panel using the rubric. And those meeting the minimal requirements become our honorees, and we can have many, many, many honorees. And of those, 4 selected for a further award through our AXA and Cape Summit leadership. We collect the stories and put them on our database, and they've been collecting there since 2006. So please go check it out.
Thank you, Karen.
I hope that answered your question.
It was fantastic. How about Jerry and Amy? Do you have anything else that you wanted to share about how you collect and share your student stories?
Yeah,
Yes, go ahead,
go right
Jerry.
ahead, Amy. I was going to
We'll
let
probably
you do
say
that.
the same thing, so go right ahead.
No, you're fine. Go.
Okay, I actually collect all those stories from our local adult education programs. They are written at the local level by the student, oftentimes with the help of their instructor, so that they can write their thoughts clearly. But they are the words of the student, and then they are sent to me, and then we store them at the state level, and they are shared in a variety of formats, as Jerry and I both mentioned on our statewide webinars that we host monthly. They're shared with our state legislature as they're determining budgets. They're shared with any stakeholders that ask about adult education or adult education supporters in a variety of formats. And then the local programs share those on their social media sites. We have an outreach person at the state level that generates standardized posts, and then the programs can adjust those to fit their colors or their theme, and then they share those on their state on their social media sites, and then they can also share them in their websites on their flyers and brochures. And then when they meet with their local community chambers, workforce boards, any potential adult ed programs, they can share that in those stories as well in their local meetings with their local supporters.
Thanks so much, Amy. And I love that you start off your sessions with that inspiration. That's fantastic.
It is very inspiring because oftentimes those students have come through tremendous odds and tremendous barriers to reach the success that we are sharing. So we find that's very inspiring.
Wonderful.
And very real.
Yes, for sure. So Doug and Nikitna, can you tell us what you've seen has been the impact of collecting and sharing the stories in addition to what Amy just shared?
Sure. So in addition to all the other things that have been brought up, I think one thing I like to point out is in Maryland, our office is within the Maryland Department of Labor. So a lot of what comes out of the Maryland Department of Labor is traditionally focused on workforce programs, finding a job, et cetera. And while we're very well supported by our leadership at the Maryland Department of Labor, making sure that we're collecting these student success stories, sharing them on social media, sharing them in our newsletters, just really helps to raise the profile and to remind everyone about the good work that our educators across the state are doing. I think that's just a really important message, and it really helps to make sure that while we do have a seat at the table, that it's never taken for granted, that adult education is always part of the workforce system in Maryland.
Thanks, Doug. Nikitna, do you have anything to add?
Yes, our stories are collected and shared with our funders as well. So it does make a difference when we're able to show and tell our funders how their funds are being used. We also use them when we're doing presentations. So we collect these success stories from our local programs. We collect them statewide. We use them in videos. Like I mentioned, we use newsletters. We use them in a lot of different ways, but most importantly, for our funders, when we're doing reporting, federal, state and local reporting, and to our legislators and our presidents and during our board meetings. So we not only just, share to the community, but we share in those ways as well.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for sharing that. And our last question is for the teams from Nevada and from Texas. In what ways do you encourage local programs, I know in Nevada you're all from a local program, but how are you encouraged to create forums for highlighting student successes?
So this is Texas. You want me to go ahead and answer that?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you. So in Texas, what we do is we encourage our grantees and providers to be innovative and to highlight student success stories. And this is often done through a number of ways. It's like utilizing former students through recruiting, promotion, bringing them in as guest speakers. Also, providers or grantees are encouraged to, have different people serve on committees, hosting networking events. We have an internationally trained professionals network as well as a student ambassador program, National Honor Society. And we also utilize a lot of social media and highlighting the student successes through fairs, job fairs, expos, and then just encouraging students to build support groups, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn or other platforms as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I would just tag team on to what Veronica just said. We request that our students come back and serve as an inspiration to other students. We invite students to events, job fairs, international events, and things like that. So just ditto.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Rain, for adding them. All right. So with that, I know that we're cutting it close on time. So if you have any questions for our presenters, I'm going to encourage you to please post those in the chat as I wrap us up. I know today is our last webinar. It's hard to believe for 2023, but I want to invite you now to next month's webinar. It will be on Raise the Bar, Lead the World, an exciting initiative from the Department of Education. It will take place on January 31st. We'll be back to our last Wednesday of the month schedule. 2024. I don't know how that happened. It'll be from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern, noon to 1:30 p.m. Pacific. And we encourage you to please register now. I know that you might forget between now and January. If you don't, So Long has already put that link in the chat. And if you have any questions that you would like us to address about that, what it is, what does this mean for us in adult education? I know that our speakers will be addressing that, but if you have any other questions that you want us to make sure that we answer, please do put those in the chat, as well as any questions that you have for our speakers. We have in the chat, Liz has also shared the handout with contact information for our speakers and several links that they shared with us and would like you to check out as well. With that, I'm going to try to scroll back up, see if I missed any questions for our presenters. All right, I'm not seeing any. So I just want to say thank you so much to all of our fantastic presenters. I hope that from participating on today's webinar, you are as inspired as I am, hearing about their fantastic stories, getting some great tips about how to share our student stories and leverage those to share the impact that we're having in adult education. Again, I want to encourage you to continue this conversation within the Links community groups. Please go check that out. And with that, thank you. And we will hopefully see you in January. It's hard to believe, but Happy New Year. Thanks, everyone.